Hello, everybody. This is Mr. Lu. Today, I want to talk about a very special topic that I've seen it again and again that I cannot tahan. I really need to highlight to every parent that many parents are causing their children to fail in life. Now, this is my observation across three generations, meaning that I watch what happened at my grandfather generation that passed down to my parents' generation, and from my parents' generation passed down to my generation. And actually, to think about it, it's actually four generations right now. Also see it right now happen to the next generation. And this is where I want to highlight these very important observations that I have. The success of and failure of children are often a formula of their upbringing, and I'll explain to you a bit by bit. So the title of my talk is How Do We Cause Our Children to Fail in Life? Now, a lot of people can say, which parent will want their children to fail in life? Every parent wants their children to succeed in life. That is true notionally on the surface, but I realize that a lot of parents in their upbringing of children unconsciously cause their children to fail. Let me share with you my observation. But before I start, I need to say this. A lot of people will agree with me, but I realize that they know it in their head and didn't feel it in their heart. Let me say categorically clear, our children is the cornerstone of our meaning in life. Your meaning in life a lot of times hinge on your children. Very often, you will feel the joy when they're successful, and when they fail, you will grieve. And this is something that is very important. A lot of us go around chasing everything that we want in life and forgotten that our children is really cornerstone. The real litmus test is at the deathbed. Okay, you don't want your business partners to be there. You don't want to have I don't know, your girlfriends or boyfriends to be there also. You want your children, right, to be there. You want your wife to be there. But the most importantly is your children. And this is where I want to highlight this very important point. And I've seen it again and again. Now, in my work in 1M65, I've met very, very successful people, right? Very, very successful people. Easily, I've met at least 10, 20 people with net worth over 50, $100 million. Easily, okay? Not all of them are unsuccessful. Many of them are actually have very successful lives. But unfortunately, many of them also lead very unsuccessful lives, simply because of one reason. Their children fail in life. So no matter how successful you are in your business, in your wealth, or how high you are in your position in your company, how reputable you are, if your children fail in life, you will grieve. Okay, trust me. Okay, I've seen parents whose children are very successful and they are not so successful themselves, they live very wonderful life. And the reverse, okay, never seen before. Someone very, very successful in life, unfortunately, their children fail in life. They don't live happy life at all. Okay. Now, so this is where I really want to share that I've seen too much of this, and many children have failed because of some elements in their life, and I want to share that with you. So, as I said earlier, after monitoring through 3 to 4 generations, I came to realize this. I cannot prove it scientifically, but I can see it empirically. At least 90% of children failure are a result of their upbringing. Now, a lot of people is going to jump at me and get angry at me and all the stuff, and say that no. I brought up my children very well. I gave them a good education. I, take care of them whatsoever. They still turn out mix with wrong friends and things like that. Well, I think there are subtle points that I want to stress to you, but let me say this. I used to think that is maybe 50%, 60%. Now I've seen how my peers brought out their children from young to old. Now their children are now in their 20s, 30s. I came to realize this. At least 90% of the time when the children fail is because of poor upbringing. And I really want to stress that. So let's watch on what are things that parents can do to cause their children to fail. One of the big thing that come out is favoritism. Favoritism. Now, someone would say, how on earth favoritism can cause our children to fail? Well, very simple. Okay, I see this across many, many parents, many parents. It is something inherent in parents to like to favor something, someone, some animals, some cats and dogs, whatsoever. It's a human nature. I understand that. But when you have two or three or more children and you favor one or two of them, and as a result, the one that is not being favored, uh, will sense it. Okay, will sense it. And as a result, you cause terrible sibling rivalry. Terrible. Okay. We have seen it in some very public fights in the news. Okay. Some very prominent ones. And there is a particular family that I cannot name it, but it is so public, okay? And it's because the father favor certain children, right? So the rest of it, they will not take up on with the parents, they will take up against each other. And as a result, their children fail, right? Live terrible lives, and yeah, one big mess, right? Usually the kids that's being favored will be successful, and the one not being favored turn out to be not so successful in life. So favoritism is surprisingly a element that cause children to fail. So this is where I just want to say, yes, it is true that it's in our human nature to like certain children, certain child, whatsoever, because they're done well, they're prettier, they are a boy or they are a girl, depending on who you like more. But you need to establish and help establish yourself that you must treat each children equally and favorably, at least in action and in words. In your heart, you got to fight that nature, not to favor the kids visibly. If I give an ice cream to one kid, I'll make sure the others one also get it. If one of a kid does well in life, okay, I will congratulate him, and to the others, I will not run them down. I'll just say, try your best and push out as well. I also try to recognize each children for their strength, okay, and not use the strength of one children against the weakness of another. For example, three of my kids, one is street smart, one is academic smart, and one is just brain power smart. Okay. And the street smart one will do very badly academically, and the intellectual one will do very well in school and not so well in other parts of life. And the one that's intelligent will not be street smart, for example, right? So you recognize them for their strength and tell them to pursue their interest and life according to what their strength is. Favoritism is something that we got to watch over if we want our children to be successful in life. Bad role model. There are many parents set bad role model, and as a result, your children pick it up. The most prominent example is the case of womanizing. I've seen it again and again and again. For example, the father or the mother, by the way, get into extramarital affairs. Best way to give an example is the case of Oskar Schindler. Oskar Schindler is a German-Austrian businessman that saved many Jews' lives during World War II. But something interesting about him is that he grew up with a father that is a shameless womanizer, like just super womanized with a lot of people. And he hated that, and he saw how much grief the mom went through. Surprisingly, when he grew up, he outdone his own father, insanely promiscuous and womanized a lot. So much that his wife, Emily Schindler, cannot even get angry at him. He said, I don't even know how to get angry at him because there are just too many of them. So he himself hated that image of the father, but he picked it up subconsciously. Now, of course, this is a very extreme example. Another example would be gambling. I see it again and again. The parents will gamble and the children pick it up, and then it passes from one generation to another. This thing is something that is really very bad. I've seen family get destroyed because of gambling role modeling. The worst part is the parents actually know that it is a wrong thing to do, but they tell their children, don't be like me. But they still go on. They say, I can't control it. Another example, smoking and alcohol. Same thing. The parents do this and tell the children, don't be like me. This bad role modeling. If you have certain bad habits, hide it. Don't let your children know. For example, I like to curse and swear, like to use bad language, okay? The bad language I use are so bad that it will make my army sergeant sounds like a primary school children when I use it. But in front of my children, I really try very hard not to use it. And then behind closed door, then it comes out. And of course, occasionally when kids hear it, I just tell them, I'm really very sorry. I shouldn't do that. Now, that doesn't help. At least you try very hard to not let the influence go to the children. Now, I'm not giving excuse, but this is an example where this kind of thing does flow down to your next generation. And I'm sure by now my children also pick up some of these bad words and things like that, but at least it is not detrimental to their life. So it is very important that we maintain ourselves as much as possible a good role model so that those things don't get passed down to the next generation. This one is going to be terrible. Abuse. And I've seen in isolated cases, and it has terrible outcome on the children. Terrible. Now, someone said, caning and all this. No, 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 no. I think I am a big believer that caning is important. Okay. And I've used the cane on my children when they're very young. But every time when I cane them, is for extreme wrongs. Like, for example, lying, cheating, beating up their siblings, whatsoever, very rude at parents or something like that. So these are more extreme, right? School result don't do very well, I let it go. This kind of thing, right? When I cane them, I'll explain to them 1, 2 strokes. And after that, I will tell them, do you learn your mistakes? Yes. Then I'll hug them, love them, and say, go and play. So that's how I do it. Now, I'm not saying this is the best way of doing it, I do it. And all my children grew up on this aspect. They didn't hate me. I think they're still very close to me. Despite me whipping them when they're young. But I've seen severe cases of caning, whipping, beating, and all sorts of stuff. The children turn up having childhood trauma, and it flows up to very serious problem when they grow up. Extreme problems, right? Emotional issues of a grave nature. Now, of course, physical is very rare nowadays, but the next one is actually more subtle, but is as deadly as physical abuse, which is called verbal abuse. And this is where I want to go to the next point. A lot of parents curse your children. How many of you are guilty of that? You say, no, whoever curse your children, right? Oh, yes, I've seen that again and again. And many a times it actually works. Let me give a few examples what is cursing your children. You are a useless kid. You are totally a washout. You are a disgrace to your family and a disgrace to yourself. You are good for nothing. Things like that. These kind of statements are a curse to your children. I didn't thought that they will be that deadly. But now that I've seen children grew up in that kind of family, oh yes, occasionally use of it like once in a rare blue moon, close on that. But I've seen parents use it again and again and again on their children. Their self-image and self-esteem and self-confidence totally get shaken. And as a result, you know what? They truly become what you tell them. What we wanted them not to be turn out to be what we curse them to be. I've seen it again and again. I don't know how many of you have seen it, that children grew up in this kind of cursing, verbal abusive family. They tell me exactly what you tell them. Yeah, you are totally hopeless. You are good for nothing. Guess what? They really turn out to be good for nothing. Because the way we say it, has a powerful programming in your mind. As parents, you have the authority over your children to educate them in their formative years. What you say to them will turn out to be what they become. Instead of using words like this, I think it's important for us to use positive strokes. Like, no matter how bad they are, when we are correcting them, we have to whip, we have to whip, we have to scold, we have to so, but use the choice of words carefully. Tell them, you can do it, okay? You can be great and successful. I believe in you. Never, never give up on your children, no matter how ordinary and how simple their life at young will be. And they turn out to be great. I think my best example was Ben, right? Ben, my son, was so hopeless in my mind when he was in primary school and in early secondary school, always last in class, not doing very well whatsoever. And me and my wife was feeling very discouraged. But in front of him, we keep telling him, you can do it, boy. 加油. I know it's all red. I know it's a fail. I know I've seen big fat zero in your spelling or whatever. And we say, don't give up, keep doing, okay? We'll help you. You can do it, right? In the end, he turned out to be incredible academically. So do not curse your children verbally. This is another thing I realized. Our strawberry generation is largely a result of overly protective and sheltering by the parents. And this is very important. The children need to trip and fall in life, need to taste some failure, need to taste some hardship in life so that they become stronger. And when we overly protect them, they turn out to be a failure in life because they cannot take the hardship of life. I give a few examples. For example, children that go to NS, the parents help to pack the son's things, get the maid, or you carry the backpack for him to camp and things like that. That's ridiculous. I've seen this extreme example as well. And this was related to me, my HR friend. He has ever encountered a few times parents that come and join the kids in job interview. That's ridiculous, right? No kidding. DBS, not some small company, The candidate turned up with their parents beside them in the job interview. I cannot believe it. Now, the rest of things I think are things we have seen, We don't allow the kids to trip and fall. The minute the kids trip and fall, wow, it feels like, you are having the same pain and things like that. When my kids trip and fall, I just say, okay, any blood, no blood, go ahead. If there's some blood, I say, okay, go wash it and go back and play again, right? Of course, some of them get really serious injury as well. So that's a different matter. But being overly protective and sheltering the kids weaken their ability to handle hardship of life in future. This is another one. We as parents have tasted hardship. As a result, we don't want our children to go through hardship, and we give them a lot. Very common to see. I want to give my kid one condo each. I want to give my kid one car each. Give my kids a chance to travel around the world. I want to give my kids of them $100,000 each or whatsoever, right? Giving them too hard, give them no reason to work hard. And that's something that is very dangerous, because if you give them too much, you take away the reason for the children to work hard in life, take away some meaning in life, take away some goals in their life to achieve. By not giving them a house, for example, and they can stand on their own feet. But the fact that you go and give them a house, guess what happened to them? They have no more need to work hard. They cannot take hardship in life and eventually become failure in life when the things get tough around their life. This is something I also say this. We as parents, because of our work, because of our life, we are often not there with them in growing up years. And that's a sad thing. And they turn out to be emotionally crippled, okay, when you're not there with them. The children years between newborn all the way to teenage years, it's important for you to be with them. But someone said, but I really got to work overseas, I got to travel, I work late, whatsoever. Adjust your lifestyle to be them. Call them frequently. Nowadays, WhatsApp call, video calls are free. You can easily reach out to them. The connection is in them. I travel a lot more than most Singaporeans do. But I call my children every day. I chit-chat with them. I share my life with them, whatsoever. And they turn out to be okay, right? Fortunately, there was a time in my life where I don't travel. I try as early as I can to come back home, play with them, educate them, put them to bed. Then after I go back to my work, right? Not being with them in their growing up years could really cripple them later in life. This is where I also want to say, and I can't prove it scientifically and psychologically why, but I see it empirically. Somehow the fatherly role is a very important role. Not that the motherly role is not important. The father role is exceptionally important. And I think this is where there's an organization called Dads for Life was set up. I'm not part of the organization. I then realized how important that is. I've seen families when the mom is okay, but the dad is not okay, the children turn out wash out in their life or having issues in their life. When the other way, I've seen families when the father is okay and the mother is not okay, the children still turn out okay. I've seen that again and again in life. Myself, I have a very sickly mother in my growing up years, and my father was a great father, and I turned out fine. So I've seen it again and again, and would like to stress and encourage all the fathers to do your job, to be a great father, to be a great husband to your family. Because once you do well in your family, your children end up being successful. And the minute you give yourself a reason or excuse, I got work to do, I got business to do, I got life to chase, I'm too tired, whatsoever, you will pay the price later when you see your kids flounder in life. In conclusion, let me say this categorically clear. Our children is the cornerstone of the meaning of our life. If your children do well, you will feel successful. And if your children fail, no matter how successful you are, financially, reputationally, business-wise, whatever, you will feel terrible. It's important in my 1865 movement. I do not want all of you to just do well financially. I want you to see you're successful in your lives as well, not just financially, your families, your health, and everything. And that is why I want to stress all this very important point. I hope today's talk is important. Please share what I said today to as many people as possible, to as many parents as possible, uniquely to the fathers as well. And I hope that all y'all will do well in your life so that your children will be very successful in your life. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in a day or two. Bye-bye.